the MMA Junkie Radio pre-show. It'll last about 90 seconds, and then we'll really crank out the real thing. Got Megan Olivi from the UFC here in studio with us. Oh, yeah, John Orlando, my buddy. He came by to visit. He's got his own podcast, too.
Yeah.
With Jake Ellenberger.
We
also will be talking to Dustin Poirier today, who signed on to fight Eddie Alvarez at UFC 211 on May 13th. It's quite a stacked card, too. They needed to get through the end of 2016 and the early part of 2017, and I just knew that the cards would just get nice, big, putting together. And then they gave us Yair and Edgar. Oh.
I know. I hate these fights because I like everybody in
I
them.
know. That's the thing. We want all the great ones to fight each other, and you're like, oh, man, what happens to the loser? Yeah. Poirier, we've covered him since the WEC, so I have a soft side for him. He's got his hands full with Eddie Alvarez, and Eddie Alvarez is the guy I cheered for because I knew he got overlooked when he was at Dream, Bellator. Yep. Kept telling him, he's a great fighter. Just eventually made it over to the UFC. He proved it. He won a world title. He took a devastating loss at UFC 205 in New York. I know he got paid, but he got crushed, and all that smack talk, all that chirping, you got to...
Up in 30.
When it doesn't go your way, there's nothing else other than to get the egg off your forehead, I guess. Rebuild, and hopefully your loved ones, your wife, your kids, they squeeze you, tell you they love you, and you get back in the gym, and you look and you go, wait a minute, he's lost 3 times too. McGregor has lost 3 times. I mean, everyone's lost, right? Shake it off, get back on the horse. All right, here we go. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Go.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, Ari's co-host back east. He's going to handle all the producing duties. It's Danny, of course. Sitting to my right, the lovely and talented Megan Olivi from the UFC. Also, the better half of Ben Olivi.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
Good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was hoping for that text message to come through sometime, and it did. I'm just thrilled to be here.
By the way, yet again, I already know what I'm having for lunch. Every time you open up her Twitter, at Megan Olivi, you see what's one of the finest burger establishments in the world, In and Out, and I'm just staring. It looks like you had a shake that day, maybe?
Oh, every time.
To go with the burger's gone, by the way. Some leftover fries. But how does that sound?
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah? All right. Well, it's good to have you back.
Thanks, guys.
You're always on a plane somewhere.
Yes.
And you caught a couple weekends where you're at home.
Yeah, this has been kind of a slower month for me. It's sort of amazing. We had the fight here, and then I had off for the Fortaleza show. I didn't have to go down there, and London was a Fight Pass show, so we don't send as many people. So I got to be home for 3 weekends straight. It was pretty amazing.
What'd you do with yourself?
Yeah.
I got really sick.
Really?
So, yeah, I had this crazy virus. Yeah, it was insane. No, I'm not contagious anymore. But yeah, I got really sick, so it wasn't like super fun. But I watched a ton of NCAA wrestling last weekend, and yeah, just kind of.
I figured,
chilled.
yeah, the Netflix, the TiVo,
Yeah,
that just start
I'm not good at sitting still though. Like I like to be doing something every single day. So I have kind of my workout regimen that I do here, and I cook a lot, and then yeah, but that knocked me for a loop. So I was kind of sitting on my butt for a week.
Take us through a typical day when you're at home and there's really no work involved, maybe.
Well, we have a gym at the UFC office. So there's a group of us who all work for the UFC, a group of us girls who work out at 7 in the morning. We have a trainer who goes down there, so we do that. So I work out at 7. I usually go to the grocery store after, come home. Joseph's finally awake, headed into practice, so I have coffee with him. And then I just kind of go over like everything that's happening in the MMA world through Twitter, different websites that I'm always checking, different shows I'm always listening to, making sure that even though I'm not on air that day, that I still know what the heck is going on in case somebody calls me for something. And then I usually try to do another workout later in the day, and then I try and cook good dinners.
2 workouts.
Yeah, I
nice.
try.
So you go all the way to Sahara for that gym?
Mm-hmm.
You don't go to the nice fancy one at the Red Rock?
No. Well, sometimes I go there. I am fortunate enough that I am allowed down there. But Joe only trains there a couple of days a week, so I don't really want to go without him. And then we go to a place called True Fusion up in downtown Summerlin.
They have one by our house, too.
Yeah, they have a couple locations here. It's incredible. So they have boxing there that I take every time they offer it, and then I do yoga, Pilates, that kind of stuff. Yeah, boring.
2 workouts, man. We're ain't doing jack shit
I
other
gotta
than
keep
walk
up
the
with
dog
these dudes, right?
3 or 4 times a week, and I consider that a workout. I try and squeeze that as a workout. Yeah.
Did you notice when she was talking, so she said, sometimes I check out shows, and she went like this, right?
Yeah.
When she said website, she didn't go.
No, and Junkie's always like the first website I go to.
Okay.
Swear.
Okay, I was just
Swear.
making sure.
Yeah. I swear.
Goes already has begun the
was
ball
awesome.
busting.
Like, wait a
No,
minute.
no.
Now, one thing I'm sure you've been doing is, I guess. Well, no. Let me ask you this: Joseph has a fight. We just heard about that.
Finally.
So, do you want to work the event and be there, but also give him his space, or do you want to bypass that event and go as the wife and best friend of Joseph Benavidez?
Well, actually, that's already solved for us. I got my schedule, and I was not on the New Zealand show, so I won't be working it. So it kind of always works out like that. Like, I usually have my schedule before he has his, so if I end up that I'm working the show, I'm working it, and if I'm not, I'm not. I've worked almost every single one of his fights, wins and losses, so it's never, to me, something I really even think about. I'm going to be there regardless. And no matter what, when he fights, the only thing I don't like is people watching me watch him. So besides that, when I'm backstage, doing my job for the broadcast, most of the time there's only a producer with me anyway, so people might be passing by, but it's not like there's fans around or anything. So as long as no one's watching me watch him, I'm fine either way. But it'll be cool to just go and be the wife there. But yeah.
Now, does this go for the general public? Anybody? Because that's a popular angle actually in major sports, is to show the family. So I could see them wanting to do that. And do you have the option to decline?
Yeah. Well, with my job, it's kind of, I think, frowned upon a little bit that people would tie the two of us together in that emotional capacity. No matter what, I can always do my job. He can always do his. So I just think the more we kind of separate, because I am a psycho when he fights. Like, I lose my mind. I watch fights for a living. I know what's going on. I know why fighters are doing things. When he fights, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? So I don't need people seeing that. No one needs anyone to see that. So, yeah, we just kind of keep it hidden.
And as a fan, though,
I'll probably still stay backstage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him before he walks out. Gives me a little wave, and then when he comes back, I'm the first person he sees, and that's good enough for us. Yeah. Man,
that must be pretty gut wrenching.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, because the guys that we've come close enough to, where we've kind of crossed that line and become friends with, those suck. Imagine being married and the significant other.
But I'm kind of with her. I think
someone.
maybe I would want to just be alone.
Yeah, I don't even we have a tremendous crew that's with us, on the road with the UFC, but I kind of just like to be by myself. His last fight, I stood in the kitchen of the Palms.
The kitchen of the
Yeah,
Palms.
so I took the elevator.
Was the fight at the Palms?
Yeah, the fight was at the Palms. I took the elevator, and I just pressed a button, and I ended up in the kitchen, and I said, listen, my husband's fighting. I don't want to watch it because I wasn't working. So I said, I don't want to watch it. And they were like, okay. So I put a timer on my phone for 17 minutes because, you know, the minutes between rounds. And then when it was over, I took the elevator down, and the fight was over.
Oh, so you didn't even watch that one at all?
No.
So you sat there for like 20, 25 minutes?
Yeah, it was only a 3-round fight. So, yeah, I just stood upstairs. I was pacing, said my prayers, and then came back down.
But the scenario where you don't want others watching, you watch the fight, those you have been watching. This one you elected not to. Why not?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched those last few fights, so I just watch them after. If I'm not working, I don't have to interview him about it, which I did for UFC.com. But by then, I saw highlights and I had like a bigger grasp. I had talked to him. I kind of saw everything that was going on backstage, and that's not as in depth as what I do for Fox. It's just been easier for me. It's just easier to not watch it, not have the stress of it, not have to worry about people looking for me. So it's.
What's the worst part about if you have been watching them? When you have been watching them, what's the part where you just, I guess, squirm or your heart beats?
My heart just beats crazy.
Is it
no
the
matter
hits?
What.
Is
No.
it the fact that maybe he didn't, he lost maybe the first round? Is it?
He doesn't. Thankfully, he doesn't lose rounds a lot, so we're very fortunate in that. No, I mean, I'm trying to think of things that have.
Or just the end result.
I just feel like I lose years off my life.
Okay.
Like I stress out so much that years are gone, so I'd rather just kind of chill out.
And when he wins, which is most of the time, what's that feeling been like?
It's awesome. It's great because it's a relief for me, but just to see his hard work pay off, that's really what the win is. Like, there's nothing anyone can do to help him in there, and you see how much they sacrifice and give up and how much they want it and in your mind deserve it. So when you see that victory and that, accomplishment finally happen, you feel like, okay, he's finally getting what is owed to him because of all the things he's done for the past few months.
So just a couple more questions. I know you're chomping at the bit, but I feel like I'm on a roll here. Doesn't the feeling of the win trump the security, I guess, of not having to watch it since you've had both feelings?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but if I have the choice not to watch it, like, I have to say his last fight, Masvidal, was amazing. He was taking photos, and he saw me, and he said, oh, your husband's fighting? I said, yeah. He said, I'm just going to chill out, take your photos if that's cool, just before I went upstairs. And he was just being so funny and, just trying to kind of take my mind off stuff, and he was awesome. So I just wanted to say that he's such a nice guy for doing that. But, the feeling of the win is amazing, and it's why he does what he does, and it's why I support him doing what he does. But it's still like, man, can't you be like an accountant or something?
Okay. I think that was it. I was just curious about that. What do you think you'll do for New Zealand? Not watch it?
I'll probably just watch it from backstage.
Watch it from backstage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Palms incident, when the fight was over, who do you go to get the result? Do you just look on your phone, or is there a certain?
Are you looking for another junkie plug?
Well, I could hear it. So the Palms you guys have been to many fights there. It's such a small venue that even if you're backstage, it feels like you're in the crowd. So I could hear everything that was being announced. Yeah. So I just stood right by the entrance because no matter what the outcome is, it doesn't matter what my support is. I'm still going to be right there when he comes back. And, he won the decision, so I was very happy.
Do you think maybe he likes that as well, the fact that he doesn't have to maybe worry about seeing you in the crowd or anything?
Yeah, I mean, Joe's super laid back. So I know he enjoys when he sees his friends and family in the crowd. For that particular fight, we had lots of people come in. My parents were there. Some of my best friends from the East Coast flew in, and they were there, and he kind of waved to them, and he was excited. Like, he waved to Khloe Kardashian before he got in the octagon, and he winked at her. So, I mean, he's, super laid back when it comes to any of that. So, I think he likes some of it, but I think if I looked nervous, it would be a little different. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
The wink. I'm curious about that.
You kind of got to do that.
I think it's just hey, wait a minute,
and
you're
winked.
famous wink.
Oh, no, he loves Khloe.
Oh, does he?
He was like, hey. Yeah. She waved back. He was very excited. That was the first thing he talked about. Yeah.
I've never been a good winker, man, but have you ever noticed, I guess as you get older, I remember seeing uncles and just older cats that had a real slick wink, but that didn't make you, it left you confused as far as, what are you trying to say with that,
I only wink when I'm drunk.
Right.
Huh?
When I'm drunk, I wink.
Really?
That's the only time, yeah. I actually get nervous when people say hello. I don't know what to do, and sometimes I get stuck in an incident where I'll do something dumb, like or something like that.
Right.
I'm really bad at that. Like I don't know whether to go like this, like that. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I can only wink with one eye because of the Bell's palsy. I got Bell's palsy in 2008. So if I go like, see, that doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
So my problem is, and this is why I have, well, no. So I can be at a bar. I don't mind eating alone or drinking alone. If my buddies can't go or whatever, I have no problem with it. But what I do have a problem is when I'm eating, as I'm chewing, sometimes the eye will involuntarily close. Mm-hmm. And if there's a group of ladies or something, they may think, this guy's eating and he's trying
George
to...
Costanza?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the grapefruit.
Yeah.
Exactly, one of those things. So I've always just been like cognizant to trying not to wink or when I'm eating to look down, when I'm by myself, or even when I'm with Juliet, my girlfriend. I just don't want others to think, this guy's trying to scoop up other chicks, and he's with this chick. So the whole winking thing, I do. Ugh.
You know the best winker in MMA is?
Oh, wait. I know who it is. Hold on.
But best winker.
Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Oh, yeah.
She's the best winker in MMA.
She does have a good one.
Because it's like, I'm going to murder you.
Mm-hmm. You don't know what it is. It could be, hey, I like you. It could be, hey, you're going to die.
Yeah, you're
what
right.
The wink means,
no.
But it's awesome.
She has sat there, and she gave me the wink, and I was like, ooh, that looked cool. It gave me the happy shivers. Like, wow. Like, I don't know. She does it really nice.
Like Sylvester Stallone in a movie doing it to you. When you're in a bad situation, he just gives you the wink, and you're like, all right, we're going to win this fight. That's the way it feels when she does it.
Did you catch Joseph's last appearance on our show?
I'm part of it. I do know that it.
Do you remember the beginning when he opened
quite
up?
a bit of waves. Yeah.
Oh, did it really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people reached out to him, just being thankful that he shared that part of his story. He keeps that pretty close to the vest.
That was incredible, yeah. And I didn't know if you caught that and what you thought of it, and if you knew every single detail, or was there even things that maybe you hadn't known until that moment? Because he went into detail there.
Yeah, no, he's really open about that. I tell him every day that I'm proud of him. Of course, I'm proud of his accomplishments as a professional athlete and as a fighter, but I'm more proud of him for the things that he's overcome and the man that he chose to be, because no one was making him make the right choices. So he did that on his own. He chose to make his life better. He chose to be a good person when he didn't have to be, and he's chosen, for the past almost 12 years now, to live his life in such an incredible manner that no matter what he does in his life, that will always be what I'm most proud of for him.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that as well. Just
a lot of people didn't know that.
You got to be strong, to overcome all that, and then think about the everyday temptations, or maybe for someone it's every week or every month. I don't know. And I talk about how food is like my vice, and I'll say, oh, it's Monday, I'm starting a brand new diet, and by Wednesday I'm having a burger or something. Think about the people that give up.
Thanks, Megan.
An In-N-Out burger too. No, think about the people that give up, alcoholism or drug addiction or gambling's a horrible vice. There's habitual spenders. There's a lot of them out there.
It's so easy to blame anything in your life.
Get to the 12-year mark or the 10-year mark, just to comfortably say, no, that's it. They overcame it. That's how strong that human being was.
But you guys are really special. I just want you to know this, that people have reached out to him many times to share that part of his life, and he said no. And he, after being on the show, a lot of people reached out to him and said, hey, we'd like to do an in-depth video, or we'd like to write a story about this. And he said no. He's like, people either caught it on MMAjunkie or they didn't. So you guys you guys are very special to him. The fact that he would feel comfortable enough to open up in that regard and kind of share that part of his life that only the people really close to him know.
I was kind of nervous when it was going down.
Me too.
Because at the same time, it's great that he's opening up, but as friends too, don't you kind of feel that responsibility that you want to make sure he's okay, that
he's
you didn't
fine,
you didn't force him into the situation.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no. Trust me,
so underneath, George and I are like kind
of
shaking a little
and
bit.
He's told other people now, so you guys are quite special to him.
Yeah, I was wondering if as it was unraveling, and I will say there was a 1% of me where I thought Joseph would go, it's all a joke, because Joseph's got a sense of humor. Yeah. But when he kept going, I started thinking, wow, I'd have to go back and listen in detail, but I don't remember thinking it's going to go in this direction. That was my feeling.
Yeah,
and then as he opened up,
right? Yeah.
As he opened up, I was like, wow. And then it just turned into such a great, inspiring story. And I can only imagine if there's a 15-year-old wrestler out there that doesn't know what they're going to do, and they're maybe hanging out the bad crowd one weekend, and then other weekends they're getting reeled in by the sport or by their family. And he's an influencer, and if he influenced even just one person, out of the park, home run.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, he was really surprised by the amount of messages he got after that, just saying like, hey, I've been sober for even people as short as like 11 days or something. I mean, just knowing somebody that seems so different now has gone through those same struggles, it seemed to really help a lot of people, which, like you said, is the end goal, really.
And from there to take, that passion of combat sports to the levels that he's taken it, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because it didn't sound like to me that he was like 4-time All-State, champ or anything like that. I mean, this is a guy that just has put it all together through hard work and gotten great at jiu-jitsu, great at wrestling, punches hard, a cardio machine, you know what I mean? And then keeps it mentally together and still has no kind of ego at all.
Oh, none. Yeah, sometimes I wish he had an ego. I'm like, hey, you deserve this. And he's just like, it's okay. But yeah, no, he's humble, hard worker. He's been that way ever since the day I met him, and I think he'll always be that way.
Yeah. Awesome dude. All right. We're going to take some calls. We're also going to talk to Dustin Poirier. I mentioned this on the 2-minute pre-show. He'll be on way at the end, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. So we have plenty of time to discuss all the stuff that's going on in mixed martial arts. And, of course, if you have a question for Megan Olivi, it's 866-522-2846. Jersey Mike will start things off as always. He's been batting leadoff for the last couple months.
Solid.
He is solid, yeah. So let's get to him. Hal from Chicago on deck. If you want to join the party one more time, it's 866-522-2846. I'll try and peek at the Facebook and get some more of that social media feedback. So if you have a question there, you're too shy to call in, I get it. I've been there. We'll do this. We'll do it this way, though. Jersey Mike, what's up? You start off.
Yes, what's going on, Megan? Hey, what's up?
Hey, hi.
I have a question for Megan, and George and Goes. Actually, you guys can answer it too. The last time Megan was on, she said that she has that resting bitch face, and she's unapproachable to certain people. I was wondering if you guys and Megan have ever come in contact with a fighter who you thought was really unapproachable by the way they looked or whatever, and then after interviewing them, you guys really hit it off and became good friends. I'll take that off air.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I will have to say, for me, it was Brock Lesnar. First of all, he's like 3 times my size, and it's Brock Lesnar. So you hear all these different stories. He's got this persona. So I was a bit nervous before I interviewed him for the first time. And he was so kind and really engaged with everything I asked. It wasn't like he was just nice to me because I was a girl. He listened to my questions and actually engaged with them. And he turned out to be such a nice guy. I did a really in-depth interview with him before his fight at UFC 200 where he and his team told me it was like the best interview they ever had. And he was so nice and funny afterwards. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is Brock Lesnar being so nice to me. But if you see the guy, it's like, it's terrifying. He's just a mountain of a man, and he looks, really grumpy all the time, but he was so nice. So I think that would be my answer.
How about you?
It's Ben Rothwell. And I was intimidated by Ben, and then he opened up, and he's just a big teddy bear, right? But now he knows I'm intimidated by him, so he reverts back sometimes.
Oh, no.
Just to mess with me.
Just to check you?
Yeah.
From every so often?
Yeah, so we play that game. But, you got one? Because I got one more.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis is, you thought he was intimidating, or where do you stand with that?
Just the look. He was just sitting there, he was kind of looking, and you want some coffee or something? And he could have answered, but he went and just stared at me for an extra 2 seconds before he answered, and I almost shit my pants. But then he's awesome.
So nice.
Yeah. By the way, that's your headliner for the. Let me finish what I was saying earlier about Joseph Benavidez. He has Ben Wynn, and that's at the fight card. I think it's UFC Fight Night 112 in Australia.
Yeah.
No, New Zealand. Excuse me. Headlined by Mark Hunt and Derek Lewis, of course.
Yeah.
Also, Daniel Kelly is fighting Derek Brunson, so that fight card is coming together. 1 or 2 other matchups. I'll get to that in just a second. But that's the fight card that's happening in June, the 3rd week of June, right?
Yeah, I think the 11th. Or it's the 11th over there, and it's like the 10th over here, something weird like that, because it's a different day.
You excited about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just happy he has a fight. It's been a long road, and I'm sure he'll be on the show to explain it all.
So here's I guess the people I felt uncomfortable with is probably Alexander Emelianenko at Affliction. And it was just because the fucking guy doesn't crack a smile, and he's a Russian, all tatted up with questionable tattoos. I knew for sure it wasn't a fraternity tattoo, the one on his shoulders or the ones on his knees. So I was like, okay, let's take this slow.
Heart that's
but boy, did he a 180 turnaround He cracked jokes. He smiled. He talked about the bear fight, and he's the OG when it comes to bear fights. I know Habib gets a lot of love, but
Lance Palmer also wrestled
has a bear fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, we'll have to ask him about that.
I gotta give the party some love there.
Roddy Piper had the bear story.
Yeah. Well, this one had been the first one I heard, and then remember he left the room, and he came back with hats and T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Gifts for everybody in the room because we were just broadcasting from a hotel room. The fighters would come to our room, and he came back, and then of course the next day he got pulled off the card, so he didn't fight. But then we celebrated that by drinking vodka till like 5 a.m.
Great.
And I mean, the dude was just like an awesome party guy. He put Steve-O to shame. I'm telling you, the stuff we did for 8 hours was amazing. But yeah, that's probably the one guy where that's a perfect word, terrified. Just like, God, when's this interview gonna end? Like, is he here for 10 minutes? Good, because I can't wait for him to leave. But he was really, really a nice dude. He just caught a bad break. Medicals is what he didn't pass, and of course there's stories out there. You can look them up if you want. Hal from Chicago's up next. What's up, Hal?
Great, Megan. Welcome to the Junkie family. You got married into the Junkie family.
Thank
you guys hear me
you.
okay?
Yeah. You sound great.
Great. Well, and we are a family here, and I'd like to give you guys, as an ode to Dave Letterman, a top 10 signs that you're an MMA junkie. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 10, when meeting a new person at a social event, you ask them for a street fight story.
It's true.
Number 9, you just decide to never buy from Nissan based on Gigi's tales from the dealer.
I would never do it.
Number 8, at a work meeting or on a bad Tinder date, you find yourself thinking, all right then.
Yeah.
Number 7, you have threatened or at least thought about blocking Johnny Rico for some torpy remarks that he made to you online.
Okay.
Number 6, you've rewinded a Marco call multiple times to try and decipher what he said.
I've done that many times.
Or in my case, only to realize I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, when someone says it is what it is, you give them Frank Mir face.
Yeah, that angers me.
Number 4, you find yourself breaking down street fights.
Yeah.
I do that on YouTube.
Number 3, you've been trolled by Buffalo Blue.
Okay.
Number 2, you look forward to the callers more than the fighter interviews. Definitely not Megan Olivi, because she's not.
Sometimes, man. Some fighters just lay an egg. I think giving an interview should be just as much of an art as much as we're trying to study and look up what they're all about. Well, you know what? You set aside the 10 minutes, whether it was you, your manager, your PR person. I don't care what kind of a day you're having. As soon as you pick up the phone, hey, how's it going? Perk up and just know that not only are us three listening or us two or whoever, I mean, we have a platform and people are out there listening and they want to become fans of these different athletes. So go out there and just do your best. Give it your 10 minutes, hang up the phone, and then you can probably go, oh, I'm glad that's over, or whatever. You know what I mean? But at least perk up. So spot on, Hal.
Absolutely. And Benavidez is completely exempt. I'm not just saying that because you're in studio, but he's really up there, like King Mo and Mike Bisping. I mean, there's some guys that you wish they were on for the 2 hours. Joseph is definitely one of them.
Thanks.
And the number one sign that you're an MMA junkie, you find yourself at a loss for words when trying to explain to friends or family that you'd like to go to Vegas to meet up with a bunch of junkies.
I don't know how you guys do that every year.
Yeah.
It is weird, isn't it?
This is the 6th annual Junkie Gathering on May 23rd. If you want to join us, come on out. It's going to be a great time. And I think, Hal, you've been to 5 of them or all of them?
Like 3.
3 of them.
I got to see if I could get in on this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said you have your calendar far in advance. Can you peek at it? What are you doing at the end of May? You're not booked, are you?
We have our Sweden show. I think that's the 28th.
That's not you.
Is that you?
No, that is me.
Oh, it is you?
Yes, I'll be going to Sweden.
Maybe next time.
I thought you said it was a smaller crew and you were out of that one.
No, I'm doing Sweden.
Mm-hmm. It's 23rd through the 28th.
Damn it.
Is Joseph going to stay back and house it, or?
Yeah, well, he'll be in camp. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
so he didn't say anything like, I'm off to hang out with my wife or nothing like that.
No. I wanted him to fight on that card so we could go around Italy afterwards, but no.
All right.
So I'll just have to tour New Zealand.
Good job, Hal. Thank you very much, my man.
Nice work, Hal.
I hope you have a nice weekend.
Later, guys. Bye.
All right, see ya. All right, let's take this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We're going to pay some bills, and then we'll be right back. We'll continue taking calls at 866-522-2373. 2846, or leave us a comment or question or thought on Facebook. I'll take a look at that as well.
Yes. Miss her.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here George and goes.
Crazy, right?
All right, we're back.
Whoa, yeah.
Live
So we
from the
can't talk
Mandalay
about
Bay Racing Sportsbook. We got Megan Olivi from the UFC here, co-hosting today's episode. So, Megan, this is just like an old video that plays, but I was focusing more on the news. But you're right, you made a good point. When Ronda is an active fighter, the sport's a lot more fun.
I do.
Love her or hate her, you know, she brings a lot of eyeballs to the sport, and she definitely put women's MMA in, you know, where Gina and some of the other girls had built a foundation. She just took that to a new level.
Oh, yeah. And it's something special about a Ronda Rousey fight week.
It sucks that she takes the losses like that, because if she could just look back and see everything she's ever done, and she's kicked a lot of asses herself, and not focus on the losses that she took, I mean, God, I think she would just enjoy her life so much more.
Yeah, I love her. I hope whatever she's focusing on next just, you know, fulfills her.
Although there is talk, have you guys heard about if she is going to fight again and if Misha's going to fight again, they should do a trilogy?
Yeah.
Cool.
It is 2-0 Ronda, but I like that the second fight was way more competitive.
Yeah, it's cool to still do trilogies even if they're 2-0.
Yeah, I'm in, especially if they have heat, and they do. Neither girl likes each other. So, you know, they would definitely talk it up. It would definitely sell, too.
Can you name a trilogy where one guy won the first two and then the other guy won the last
Quinton
one?
Jackson. Quinton Jackson was down 2-0 to Vanderlei Silva, and then he knocked them out at, I think it was UFC 98 or something like that.
Can you name another one?
Where it was 2-0 and then somebody won one?
Oh, I was going to say 2-0 and they did a third one, but Frankie and BJ. But no.
Yeah, you're right. But you're right. Same result.
Same.
Who?
Don Fry and Gary Goodridge.
Oh, Christ. I didn't know that one.
I thought that's where you were going to go.
Don Fry. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there's another one out there. They almost did Tito and Chuck for the third time when Rich fell off. Wait, was it Rich? Who was supposed to do the Ultimate Fighter?
No, Rich filled in.
Rich filled in, sorry.
Yeah, Rich filled in.
But somebody was going to do it, and then I remember they told Dana, so you're doing it with Tito and Chuck again? He just kind of shrugged, kind of like, yeah, we're just running it, you know? Didn't sound like it was his first option, but they did it. Hey, speaking of trilogies, you know, as close as we can to campaign for it, we really tried hard to get Joseph with Demetrius.
He tried hard as well.
You know, you've spent about, I don't know how long you've known about the fight, but we're going to pretend you found it out on Junkie like the rest of the world does. And I guess, what did you share with him? You know, level of disappointment? Did he dust himself off and say, okay, time to fight Ben Wynn? And I guess maybe what thoughts can you share about that as well?
Well, I know Joe wants to come on and talk about everything himself, so I don't want to, you know, speak for him.
Okay.
But I don't know. Obviously, that's a disappointment, right? He's won 6 in a row, so that's what he wants.
Against badasses, too.
Yeah. That's, like, the only thing he feels like makes sense. Since, especially where he's sitting at in the rankings. I don't know if, like I said, I can't speak for him. I don't know if that was the most frustrating part or if it was just trying to get a fight. That was the most frustrating part. So I'm not really sure. I know he knows getting a third fight, again, when he lost 2, is going to be a huge mountain to climb up, but he just is kind of having the faith that if he steadily chips away at it, he's going to be at the top. And there's no way they're going to be able to say no to it. But I think, of course, that's a disappointment, but he kind of knows there's a lot of effort that's going to have to be put in to get that again. Whereas I think it was more disappointing seeing people in the flyweight division maybe not want to fight him.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah.
This explanation that you're giving, we're all fight fans. We all get it. But I have to imagine you probably have to do this for friends and family, and it probably doesn't make too much sense. How do you go through that? And does it get frustrating having to explain it?
It's so annoying. Like, oh, yeah, he's ranked #1 in the world. Oh, he's going to fight for the title. No. So I think now people just know, like, not to kind of ask us anymore. But once I just say, like, he's ranked, like, oh, he's ranked #1 in the flyweight division in the world, like, you know, he's champion, and Joe's ranked right under him, then people kind of just, like, stop, and they're kind of in awe of that moment, so they kind of don't press forward. But when they do ask, it's super annoying. Yeah.
Here's a pitfall that I have is that I'm not a guy that dives in to stories, because I think I come across so many stories, and we talk to so many people on a daily basis. And I wouldn't say I'm a skimmer either, but here's what I'm getting at. I thought going back to last year, it was basically these two flyweights will coach other flyweights and meet on the same card as the world champion who will fight the winner of this flyweight tournament. And somehow in there, I thought, oh, that sucks. I thought Joseph, all 5 fights, should have fought Demetrius Johnson because he's beating everyone else, okay? And when it didn't happen, I thought, okay, well, at least they're on the same card in case Elliott or whoever at the time, didn't make it. One of them could fill in, and more than likely Joseph, because Henry had just fought him. But whatever, these two coaches, they're fighting, and they're training these guys to fight them. But I really thought the reward was the winner gets Demetrius Johnson. But then I found out, well, that wasn't specified. I was like, God damn, I thought it was, but I'm not going to rewind and go back 8-9 months and see if that was the case or wasn't. But I thought it was hinted at or implied somewhere along the line, and that's what made it even more disappointing for me.
You weren't the only one in that boat.
Yeah, you weren't.
I mean, who the fuck, who trains a bunch of killers to fight the guy you really want to fight, and then when it's all over, you beat the other guy who also was in the same boat, but you don't get the same reward.
That's what makes the sport so frustrating. In any other job, you feel like if you do your job and you work your way up, there's always some sort of reward or something, and he just doesn't seem to get that. It kind of
what he does do good, though, is isolate, and what's that word I always have trouble pronouncing? Compartmentalize. So what he did was he got the assignment and became the best coach possible. Everyone has given us great feedback.
Oh, good.
Now he's got almost like a team, guys that either go to Colorado or here in Vegas and they train. So he created that little brotherhood. He put his heart and soul into it. Came out of it, beat, Cejudo. But I always respect that about Joseph is once the news is given, then it's time to focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, which is what he'll be doing for this fight, too.
A lot of us will kick a can for like 2 weeks, like, fuck, why not me, and by then, this guy's already 2 weeks into a camp trying to take the other guy's head off.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's the only way for him to move forward is if he does that, right? Because he's already lost 2 to the champion, so there's a large percentage of people that would say, oh, just give up, but that's not him, so he'll just keep trucking along.
Yeah. Ben Nguyen, that's a good fight. I mean, Ben Nguyen's not bad. He's not on Joseph's level.
He's talented.
His resume doesn't meet what he has, but there are times when he fights where you can tell that's a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, very talented, and he'll kind of have that home field advantage because he trains in Australia. He's from South Dakota, but he trains in Australia, so he'll just kind of take a quick plane ride over, whereas Joe's going to fly around the world, but sightseeing.
You guys going to do the early thing?
You know what? He never really does. He fought in Sydney when they started the flyweight division, and they did that little 4-man tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he fought in Sydney, and he's like a freak. He can sleep anytime, anywhere. Like, if you say it's nighttime here now, you have to go to bed, he goes to bed. So he usually adjusts really well. And they fight, like, in the morning over there, which he really enjoyed last time. So I think he'll be fine. If he goes early, it'll be like a day or 2.
Okay. Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes. What are your thoughts on this fight that's gonna happen? We just don't know the when and the where, but it's gonna go down. I guess I want to get your thoughts as a woman, the growth of women's MMA and particularly this big fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, the growth of women's MMA is just incredible. If you look at Paige Van Zandt has millions of followers now, and she's a strawweight on our roster, and obviously Ronda and Misha and all these people who fans now know just as well as they know any man on the roster. It's incredible. In terms of the fight with Amanda and Shevchenko, I mean, they were fired up. So in Denver, I had to interview both of them. I interviewed Valentina after she won, and then I interviewed Amanda afterwards, and they were both so fired up about that rematch. I was like, oh my God, book this sooner than later, but I know Amanda wanted to take some time and go to Brazil and see her family. She hadn't seen it in a while. But I think this is going to be a much more heated lead up than maybe everyone's expecting, because they were both fired up about one another and about one another's performance in that first meeting. And I think that this is going to be a heck of a fight, because I think Valentina's really improved since then. Not that she wasn't great in that fight, but I think that she's just kind of become more well-rounded and well-versed, and Amanda is just on such a tear. I think it's going to be incredible. I'm hoping that it gets booked soon.
I think it'll be here in Vegas across those 3 dates, because they got to book about 72 fighters. 12 Fights 3 times, and there's 24 per fight, so they got to book about 72 to maybe 78 fighters if they go 13 deep. And it's written all over it. One of them said July was Valentina, right?
I like it to be here.
Yeah. Now there is also Anaheim, which we're partial to because we're from SoCal, so we want that to be a nice big card, something along the lines of Dallas 211. Holy cow! Tickets are on sale today, by the way, for the general public, and 400 cage side is a great price.
That's it?
Yeah, here in Vegas we get the 1000s, the 800s, the 1200s, the 1500s of Connors fighting, so 400 is really, really good.
You better snatch those up.
I break this fight down a lot in my head, and I think I've made a little bit of a decision.
Shevchenko and Nunes?
Yeah,
okay.
And it's based on what you brought up. When they were both brought into the cage, and they were face-to-face, the reactions were very different. Amanda had this reaction as though she had lost the last fight. And I think it's because she knew that last round didn't go her way.
Mm-hmm.
And had that fight been a 5-round fight, she might have been in trouble. And I think that really bothered her. Valentina had the look on her face of a person who won that fight. And I think it's for the same reason. She knew, even though I lost the first 2, I got her at the end. And I know what I need to do to correct this. So that little psychological battle that they had there, I'm not so sure. Amanda needs to get that focused in her head to be successful in this fight. I think Valentina figured something out, and I think she knows how to exploit that. So right now, I'm leaning towards Valentina, which is crazy to say because Amanda hasn't really done anything to make you think there's anything wrong.
She's been a legend slayer these last 6 months, Tate and Rousey. And I want to pile on that point. Another thing was what was so great about Valentina's win was it was a statement win. She got the finish. But who had their dance card filled out? Shevchenko by submission, right? So, I mean, I fault no one that says, I think Nunes is going to win. Yeah, it could happen. I think Shevchenko is going to win. Yeah, that could happen. I think Nunes, Pena. Pena by submission. Yeah, that could happen. Pena by knockout. Well, yeah, she hits pretty hard, but probably not. Shevchenko by knockout. Yeah. Muay Thai champ, whatever. Shevchenko by submission. Nah, well, I don't see. You see what I'm saying?
But you know
she really made a statement that night, and Nunes is a judoka and a jiu-jitsu gal, and so, I mean, it was just a huge win for her. Sorry.
Yeah, no, during the week, Valentina kept telling me, people think I don't have jiu-jitsu. I have jiu-jitsu, I just never have to use it. And she kept driving home the point to me that, don't sleep on her jiu-jitsu. And so, before the fight, I even did, a little report saying, hey, guys, don't be sleeping on, her ground game. This is something that she's, she's been adamant to me about all week long, and then she pulled it off. I was just like, oh my god, she knew exactly what she was going to do. She knew that was going to happen. By the way she spoke to us all week long, it was wow, she was really reading those tea leaves. She knew. It was awesome.
And check this out. I'm a huge fan of Valentina. So she weighs in around 132, 133, so she's not even one of those that cuts the bantamweight. What she walks around at, that's her division. And she's openly stated, okay, I can cut the 8 pounds to get to 125. So right away, you got to consider her one of those favorites if they ever open up that division. And then how about the fact that she's beaten 3 times the current 115 champ? Yeah. So I know she wouldn't go down to 115, but to have that on your record, that's pretty impressive. And had Holm beaten G. Randami, did I say that right? Durandamy. I mean, that's kind of like if she was a crap talker, that would be all kinds of ammunition, I've beaten the current 45, or I've beaten this one, in Muay Thai, and I mean, she really could be a major star. Speaks 5 languages, 3 of them perfect, Russian, Spanish, and English, and I think she speaks 2 others. So, all right, you're right, guys. It's time for our last commercial of the first break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We have Megan Olivi in the house.
broke it.
He broke it?
Oh, yeah.
Or once he found out? Oh.
Yeah.
You know that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader tells Luke he's his father? What if I walked in right after with my voice and was like, I'm your Uncle Walter. Can I get a lift home? That'd be crazy, right? Anyway, here are George and Goes.
All right, so go share that question. That was a good question during the break. First CD you asked?
Yeah, the first CD, because we talked about it, remember? Or first CD that you had ever bought.
I don't remember mine, but the advisory was NWA for me.
It was?
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually do remember. It was TLC.
First CD.
Which one?
Okay.
Yeah,
What album?
the one with Waterfalls.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember having that one. That was my first one.
Can you
Yeah.
tell the little gangster moment that you did?
Yeah, the first parental advisory CD I bought, I was still really young, but it was a DMX CD. And I was like, oh, I need this CD, but I don't know how I'm going to buy it because I'm not old enough. So I just put my, I just put my thumb over the parental advisory sticker and I handed it to my dad. And he didn't even look at it, he just bought it. And then when I was listening to it on my little stereo in my room, when he realized the words that were used, he came and broke it. So, yeah.
Like
Danny's
with his hand?
loving
Did he
that.
just crush it with his hand?
He just
or?
broke it in half.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're not going to listen to that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I didn't have that problem. How about, what was yours?
First parental?
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
How about
Mom
first
and Dad
CD?
didn't really check.
Yeah.
Yeah, first CD I told him. No, maybe tell it again.
Well, no, tell it.
I forgot.
I got Martika and put Guns N' Roses. What was the first one?
Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, I put that on top. So I got two.
Yeah.
What?
What was yours, John? I know you're gonna bail me out.
Madonna like a virgin.
Oh, I know my brother. He always talks about that the first one he bought was a Madonna one too. Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh my God.
I would say that it was probably a new wave or 80s like pop. You know what we just talked about, Prince or Madonna. But when you asked about the parental advisory, I remember seeing that. I remember it upset a lot of people. You know, nowadays it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but back then it was.
Oh, Mick Olivi was
deal.
not pleased.
Yeah. I bet you that if Dan Hardy was my friend, and I brought him home and said, "Mom, can Dan stay for dinner?" She'd probably go, "Well, I think we have some plans or whatever." And then when Dan politely walked out, she'd go, "We can't have a kid with a mohawk and the like." Yeah, just it was. That's how edgy the 80s were, when in reality it's nothing compared to how things are now. Now it'd be no big deal, but literally I think everybody was still kind of had a little bit of a shell. So the whole CD thing and what I just talked about, no, I've heard those stories all the time.
He had a pretty good job, George, as a teenager. So I remember when CDs came out, he came home with a CD player, like a receiver, and then you had bought at least 20 CDs, and they all came in that little wooden case, remember?
Oh,
and he just went in his room, put it all together, and everybody was like, wow, what is this?
I could admit something right now that would disappoint a lot of people, but that's not what happened.
What happened?
You stole it.
Kinda.
Did you?
Yeah, this is what happened. I'll tell you guys now. I've
Mom
got to
and
be
Dad
past.
listening right now.
I got to be past the statute of limitations here on this one. But
Oh, God.
here's what happened.
It was a lot.
Me and my buddies went to the movie theaters, and it was in Costa Mesa, California. My buddy Jim Larkins found a wallet.
Really?
Found a wallet. Yeah, we were sitting there, and it had $400. So right away, each guy got $100. And then let's just say credit cards were used.
What?
Yeah. Dude, that was like just out of high school.
Okay, this is making sense because it
And
was
I had a buddy-
receiver, a tape deck.
I mean,
a
the
CD player.
you were bold because the credit card
Nintendos.
was like.
I just thought you had a good job.
Well, I did have a good job. So once I got in that habit of
You had a good job for a teenager.
once I got in the habit of like, I became a collector and things like that. But on that particular, when I came home with a lot of stuff, that's just what happened.
Oh my God, I never knew this story.
Yeah. In fact, oh man, I could blow you guys'
Mom
minds
and Dad
away.
are like, oh, he's such a great saver.
Yeah, we'll just call it at oh yeah, he grabs 20 DVDs. You know, we're not gonna investigate them. But if I tell you guys off the air like what really went down, oh my God, it was pretty gangster. Oh man, yeah. I'll tell you guys. I can't wait. For the commercial. So I'm going to a commercial here. Again, those that listen on YouTube, just want to give you other options. You can listen on Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. Those who listen on Facebook, you can listen on YouTube, youtube.com/MMAjunkie video. The reason I tell you that is because sometimes you're at a spot where social media is blocked, but YouTube may not be, or vice versa. It's happened before, so I'm just giving you different avenues there that you can listen to the show. We have Dustin Poirier coming up in the second hour. He's fighting Eddie Alvarez at UFC 211. UFC 211 is headlined by Junior Dos Santos and Stipe Miocic. It also has Yair Rodriguez versus Frankie Edgar. It's a stack cards, and tickets are on sale today. We'll be right back after the sports update and commercial.
Almost home down the drain. Fever Las Vegas.
Yep. But that was embarrassing.
I was wondering, if you could keep on, because the force has got a lot of power,
You want to come on for a bit?
Yeah,
come on.
Don't make me put my purse over here, though. Just kidding.
Buy me a second.
Okay.
We're back on MMAjunkie Radio. I'm joined by half of the cast of Ocean's 11. I didn't realize that everybody had this scandalous past.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't always a choir boy, and I was told that a boy without mischief doesn't grow up to be a man. Yeah. So I had to do my part. I also want to welcome to the show a good friend of mine. He's the host of the Action Junkies podcast with Jake Ellenberger, former comedian. John Orlando. What's up, John?
Hey. I feel like I'm on Felon's Row now.
I know, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Some of that info was divulged off air.
Julia Roberts and George Clooney over here, right?
Yeah.
You don't have anything like that?
Not on the level of what you guys do.
No.
Oh my God. You're making it sound like we did such bad stuff.
In 5th grade, I had a caper. It doesn't involve money, though. It involves food.
Okay.
Does that matter?
Oh, that's even worse.
Is it? All right. Well, in 5th grade, they had everybody put together an earthquake preparedness bag. It was really big, and you had to make it in case we all got trapped. You know, it's supposed to last you like a month or something like that. Well, they hid those right behind me and Rodney. So what we would do is when we realized there's just not going to be an earthquake that traps us, this is stupid, every day we would go through people's bags and just see, you know, kids would have a Snicker bar or this and that, whatever. And every day we'd take something new. And so on the last day of school, they go, guess what? Remember your earthquake preparedness things? Well, now you guys get it all back because you're free. And they started passing it out. And kids started going, what the hell? This is light. Where's my this? Where's my that? And we had like Twinkie wrappers in our desk and this and that. So, but what are they going to do? It's detention, right? I mean, it's the last day of school.
That's not bad.
It didn't involve money, but yeah, I guess I stole from just about everybody in the class.
John Orlando?
Yeah, we've got a couple capers.
Okay, let's hear one.
When I was in high school, we were in Westwood. We were going to a movie, and
we're home to UCLA.
Right.
Okay.
The mean streets of Westwood.
So we were crossing the street right near a bus stop, and this woman was getting on a bus, and she dropped her purse. Bus drove away. We pulled over, and we were like staring at this purse. We're like, we gotta grab this purse, you know. It's like we had one good guy in the back that was like, yeah, we gotta get it and get her address and deliver the purse. And then my other buddy was like, what do you mean? We gotta see what's in there. So we got the purse.
What side were you on?
You know, I could have gone either way at that point, but I definitely crossed over to the dark side on this caper. Mm-hmm. And so we opened up the wallet, and there was a little bit of cash, but there was an ATM card, and then in the purse there was like a planner. Like, remember when people would walk around with like their little day planner or whatever?
My mom still has one. Oh yeah.
So we were going through the planner, and we were able to crack the code. We figured out the ATM. I know, it's so crazy.
Oh, like the address?
Yeah, like we just kept trying like birth dates
dog
and stuff,
thing.
you know, and
You
finally.
did it like that?
Yes.
I thought it was written down.
No, we figured it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we were a smart crew.
Wow.
And
but don't you only get like 3 attempts, and then it swallows the card?
We got it like on the second one.
Okay.
True story. Right. And back then you could only get 300 out of ATM at one time. And then I met my buddy at midnight. Mm-hmm. And we went back to another ATM and got another 300. We did 3 days in a row. And then finally on the 4th day, I got nervous. I bailed out. And then he said it didn't work, but I think probably it did work.
Wow.
I probably missed half of a $300
By the way,
shop.
when the card went in and you were waiting for the money, did you go baby, go baby, go baby?
Yeah, well, and I made him do it because I was afraid, like, I thought, is there a camera on the other side? Yeah. So, like, I was like, yeah, you do it.
Did you know what that was from, that reference? No? Oh, man. Terminator 2. Remember the kid has that deal, and that was his thing. He'd go baby, go baby, go baby. But that was like on another level, way other level. I like it.
Yeah.
How's the podcast going with Jake Ellenberg?
It's going good. It's fun. We've been having fun, man. We've been doing it since January, and it's been a good time. We do it over at Hollywood Park. You've been to Hollywood Park? The new
Only when it
casino?
was the old Hollywood Park.
Yeah, like when it was scary.
And I did go to. I'm going to lose street cred here, but because he's passed away in the last 3 months, I think everyone will give me a pass. I went to the George Michael concert. Not when he was George Michael.
Wait, you
when
don't
he
lose
was
street cred
Wham.
for that.
When it was Wham. When it was Wham.
Wham, you lose street
And
cred.
the opening band was Katrina and the Waves. You guys heard of her?
Yeah.
No?
Walking on Sunshine.
Play that, Danny. Walking on Sunshine. So I went to that as like an 8th grader or a 9th grader. Then, of course, he became uncool, and I never told anyone that I had.
Never became uncool.
George Michael?
Oh, my God.
You're not a dude, though.
Have
Think
you
about
guys
him.
seen Keanu?
No.
Have you seen Keanu?
Yeah, with that cat. The movie about that
and
cat.
the whole thing's basically about, like, George Michael. Oh, my God.
Careless Whisper.
No,
right?
when you're in your teens as a boy, there's just some things you have to, like, pull away from. Otherwise, you just become uncool. And you can't go around saying, yeah, man, you got the new George Michael.
If you liked him, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
I know that now. But back in the day, you cave in, you know.
Yeah.
And it only takes one slip up, and you're that guy for the rest
Oh
of your
yeah,
school.
yeah. You're soft, right?
Right. You have that folder, and you pull it out, and everybody goes wham, and you're wham for the
Exactly. You hear what this Joker's got?
rest of the day.
Yeah, it's no
But
good.
that's the last time I went to Hollywood Park.
There's a new casino that you're not fending for your life anymore. That's nice. So it's good. We do it over there. We talk about.
But no more horses, right?
There's no more horses because that's where they're putting like the football stadium.
The Rams?
Yeah.
That's where they're headed.
Yeah, and like big condos and all kinds of stuff. So
They
right now it's
revitalize
just
that area?
Yeah. Well, they're gonna.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. And so that's next to the Forum.
Right. Yeah.
Here's one more George story. Not that you guys are begging for it,
George
but
Michael
it
or
reminded
George
me. No,
Garcia?
George Garcia. So one time when the Lakers and the Celtics had their big rivalry, they used to chant at us, "L.A. suck." No, we
Beat LA.
Beat L.A. and we used to say Boston sucks. So me and Sammy the Squid created these T-shirts that just said Boston sucks, except we did them in purple lettering. And because these guys were playing each other a lot, especially in the finals, we thought it'd be lucrative to make the shirts and stand outside of Hollywood Park and sell them. Sure, we had duffel bags. We sold them. $10, whatever. We're like high school sophomores, and that's good money for us. Selling them, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden, Inglewood PD pulls up, says, "What are you doing?" We go, "Selling a couple T-shirts." What size are you? Like, no, you can't be doing that. Come on, turn over the money or whatever. And luckily, one of us had to go back to the car to refill some of the shirts, and we had put the money away. So we only gave away about 60, which still kind of stung.
Right.
But it could have been like 360 because we had a great day of sales, and they confiscated it all and everything. So, yeah.
Wow.
They didn't put you in the they have like a little jail, right?
No, they basically said, give us the money and confiscate and don't do this again. I think they took our names down, but that was
that
it.
money went in their pockets, though, right?
More than likely.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that, I thought cops were good. Why would they do that, So I don't know what the money went to, but.
That shirt was famous because within our family, I think it became a Christmas present for a long couple years, right?
Yeah.
And then we would see some in South America. I saw some lady go to the store wearing one.
Yeah. Just started giving them away because once Boston really started sucking after the Bird era.
Right.
And L.A., of course, continued to be good. There just was no need for it. Nobody was really trumpeting that. It became Pistons, then the Bulls, and whatever teams are better now.
Did you go to a lot of Laker games?
I went
back
to
in the day?
2 Game 7s back-to-back.
Wow.
When they beat the Celtics and the Pistons. So, yeah, it was cool.
Did you go to the racetrack much back then?
Couple times.
You're not a
but
horse
much.
racing guy.
No, I always lose, so I just don't see the fun. Like, I really can't remember a day where I said I went to the track and came back with $500. It just never works out.
I have a crazy horse racing story.
All right.
You want it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
wait. Okay, I think I've heard this. Go for
Have
it.
I told you this story?
No, but I think I heard Jake tell the story.
Oh, you might have. Jake steals my stories, and he throws them out there.
Joseph does the same.
Yeah. Ria?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does he pay you for them? Because you can pay
No.
for someone's story.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just uses them without permission. But what am I going to do?
Like
You know,
Kramer,
I
right?
don't argue with anyone with mangled ears. I
All
don't
right.
mess with any of those people.
Good
If you got
idea.
mangled ears, I don't argue with you. That's just rule of thumb. So I'm working at this shoe store. I was about 22. I'm working at this shoe store in Brentwood called Front Runners. I had it down to a science. On my lunch break, on my hour lunch break, I could go from Brentwood to Hollywood Park, make a bunch of bets at the automated machine, go to McDonald's, get back to the shoe store in under an hour. Good luck with that. That alone is an incredible story. Okay.
Yeah, because LA traffic.
Yeah, it's because you can't even get stuck at a red light. You have to like make a right, an illegal U, and a right, and to keep going straight. You know.
And McDonald's lunch traffic.
Right.
Oh.
So I get down there, I make a bunch of bets, and I don't handicap the horses or anything. I just go off names and numbers. Right. So 3 horses jumped out at me on the last race: Sky Launch, Rocket Gibraltar, and Wreaking Havoc. I don't even look at the odds because I don't want to be influenced. Because if it's like 80-1 or something, I'm not going to do it because I go, that's not going to come in, right? So I do a trifecta, $1 trifecta. When I'm walking away from the machine, and I made like a bunch of bets that day, from like, I got there, it was like the 3rd race, and so I'm betting like from races like 4 through 9, let's say, right? So I'm walking away from the machine, and I'm looking at my last ticket, the trifecta ticket, and I realize, the way the machine is set up, you hit like $1, $5, $10. It's like they're all next to each other. So I guess my finger landed on 5 or closer to 5 than 1. So it thought I wanted a $5 trifecta. So now I've got this $5 trifecta, which, you're not going to hit. Trifecta is who comes first, second, and third, and in that order. Hard enough to pick a winner. You're not going to pick first, second, third, right? And the $4 difference is plain cheeseburger, fries, and a Coke at McDonald's when you're 22. You feel me, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm like, shit. So I turn around to cancel the ticket, and the line is so long because there's a race that's about to go off. I'm stuck with it because I got to go or I'm going to be late, okay? This is back in 92, so there's no internet, no cell phones. So I remember I would pick up the phone in the store. Like in the middle of the store, we had this pole, and there was a phone on it for like if you had to call to see if like we had a ladies' kids in size 7 at the other store, kind of thing. So I'm on the phone trying to call this race hotline, but I can't get through because it's busy. It's like calling a radio station, right? You could never get through back in the day. So the next day, I'm off. I go back down to the track, and I have a stack of tickets, right? So I hand the lady, so I go to the window, and I hand her the first ticket, and she puts it in the machine. And on my side of the machine, it either says the amount of money you won, or it just says not a winner, right? So I give her the first ticket. She puts it in, not a winner.
A phrase you're probably very familiar with.
Yeah, 100%. So, and I've got a stack like this, right? So I give her the next ticket, not a winner. And the next one, not a winner, not a winner, not a winner. We go through this whole stack of tickets, not one winner, not a winner, not a winner. I'm like, I get down to the very last ticket, and I hand it to her. And I'm not even looking at her. Like, we're in this rhythm, like, where I'm just handing her the ticket, and I'm just locked on the, on the little window at the bottom of the machine. I give her the last ticket, and nothing's happening. And I look up, and every time I gave her a ticket before that, she just stuck it in the machine instantly. But for some reason, this last ticket I gave her, she looked at it. So I look up, and she's looking at the ticket. She goes, "You had the trifecta last night." I said, "What? I had the trifecta?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "What did it pay?" She said, "It paid $18,400 and something dollars."
What?
I go, "Are you just telling me I just won $18,000? She goes, "No, you have it 5 times." Because I did a $5 trifecta by mistake. It was a mistake ticket, $93,000 and change.
You won?
Yes.
Oh, you won? Okay.
Yes.
You said mistake ago. I thought that canceled it.
I'm saying she
He
said
made a good mistake.
I said, the ticket paid $18,000 if it was a $1 trifecta, but by mistake I did $5. Remember, I was on the machine and it did it as $5.
So many McDonald's meals.
Right?
What'd you do? Like, how did this?
She goes, I'm like,
your heart start beating?
Oh
at that
my
point?
God, it's coming out of my chest. She goes, do you have a bag? And I'm like, a bag? She's like, it's not going to fit in your pockets, honey. I'm like, you're going to give me cash? She goes, yeah. I'm like, I don't have a bag. And she goes, you need to go down to the gift shop and get a duffel bag and come back to this window. And I'll close the window down. Just come right back to me. I go, okay. I turn around and take a couple steps. And then I turn back to her and I go, how much is the bag? And she's like, do you not have any money? I'm like, I'm kind of all in on the
on the ticket?
On these tickets. Like, it depends how much the bag is. She pulls $40 out of her pocket. She hands it to me, and she goes, you're good for it. I go, yeah, I'm good for it. I go down to the gift shop. I get a $35 Hollywood Park duffel bag, come back upstairs, and I go to the window, and she starts counting off the money. It's like in $10,000 like bricks, and stuffs it in the bag, and I give her a $500 tip.
Oh my God,
right?
you're an angel.
And
I was gonna ask that. I was wondering where you were headed with the tip.
Yeah, so I give her $500.
Is that appropriate?
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
You got to like that wasn't.
Look at Jay, like he's a long-time horse racing expert over there. Did you? My bad. Check out Jay.
Like,
have you met Jay, our horse racing expert?
Smashed right now.
Should I have done more?
I wish you guys could have heard this.
I mean,
I must be a sucker, though.
You're good.
And I was like,
I must be a sucker because the times I played video poker, or sorry, did I spit on you? Oh, I saw her go like this. Like, when I played video poker or Keno, if I hit for 1,000, I give 10%. So I just thought that might be. I guess.
Should I gamble? This feels like.
I don't know. So
well, I haven't won since.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. So So then she says, where did you park? And I said, oh, I'm in the lot. And she says, did you want an escort? And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, this comes with like a hooker. Like, what's going on? And she's like, no. She goes, they just saw me.
You thought she was a part-time pimp?
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of a weird thing. Like, I already gave you the 500. Now I get services. Like, that's so odd. So, she says, well, a lot of the people just saw me put $90,000 in this bag. You might want to have security walk you to your car. I'm like, oh yeah,
I was
yes,
just
please.
thinking that, yeah.
So she gets me a guard, and I gave him 500 too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Pimp.
The money fairy.
And so then I go back to the shoe store and meet up with my buddy, and I said, hey, let's go grab lunch. Did you have lunch yet? He's like, no. So we go to lunch, and I've got the bag on my shoulder, like literally, like just looped on my shoulder, So we sit down. And he's like, "What's with the bag?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was going to go to the gym. I forgot to throw this in the trunk. So now I put the bag on my lap." And so we just start talking, shooting the shit. And I said, "Man, I just got my credit card bills. It's crazy. I owe so much money. Don't you wish you could just wipe the slate clean and start over?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know how you feel. I said, "What about you? Do you owe a lot of credit card money?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I owe probably like $7 or $8 grand." I said, "Don't you wish you could just snap your fingers and wipe the slate clean and start over?" He's like, "Yeah, are you kidding?" And I said, "Would you screw it up? If you could, like, if you could just be out of debt, would you get back into debt, or did you learn your lesson?" He's like, "No, I learned my lesson. Like, once I get these paid off, I'm done." So I unzip the bag, I pull out 10 grand, I put it on the table. I said, "All right, go ahead, start over." He's like, "What? Where did you get that?" I'm like, "Oh, I got plenty of it." It was crazy race. It ended up being a 65-1 that won. On top, and that came in first. Second place was like a 35-1, and then third place was like 17-1.
Wow.
Insane.
Why did he get 10 G's? Was he a part of the?
Just my buddy. Just a friend of mine.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how I was rolling back then,
That's
George.
cool, man.
Yeah. You've done nice things for people before, George, haven't you? Where you get a random phone call and, people in need, you come, you bring them a bag of money. You've done that before.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Could be a good space.
Well, that's just amazing to me. But the thing with the duffel bag, when Joseph won the coaches challenge on the Ultimate Fighter,
What was their challenge again?
Top Golf.
Oh, golf. That's right.
Yeah, crushed it. But they want to make the prize look amazing on TV. So it's a lot of 1s and 5s and 10s and stuff. But it's $10,000 in cash. So they gave it to him, and he won, and he just had this 10 grand in cash. So he's like, "Hey, let's meet for dinner. I won the coaches challenge, whatever." So we go to the Cosmo, and he pulls up at the valet, and he has all this cash. So he's like, "Oh, I got to do something with this." So he's taking cash out of a trophy, putting it in a backpack in front of all the guys at the valet, and they're just, like, looking at him like,
what is this
what
guy
is
doing?
all this money? And then he's just walking around the Cosmo, buying things, taking cash out of his backpack. I was so scared we were going to get mugged or something. It was terrifying. I can't imagine having, like, that amount of money in a
at that
backpack,
age, too.
handing it
Oh
out.
yeah, I mean, it was
Woo,
crazy.
No.
That is a good story.
Yeah.
Oh.
Literally haven't won since. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we are going to talk to Dustin Poirier. We've got a few minutes, but I did want to just finish out this batch of news. Holm declined to fight at UFC Fight Night 111. They were going to give her a newcomer named Ji Yoon Kim, and instead, it looks like she wants to hold out for the rematch versus DeRandamy, but we don't know where DeRandamy stands as far as a hand injury and whether or not they'll even offer her maybe Cyborg.
Right.
Anyway, what do you guys think about this all? Like, that division, do you think the division, I mean, I guess it's here to stay, but do you think it's just causing more problems than it was intended to be just because they weren't able to build it off of Cyborg?
I think a little bit, but I think if I'm Holly Holm, you got to start building up some kind of momentum, and I would have taken that fight and then probably.
I think so too. I think the title shots will be there waiting for you, but get your swag back and then maybe worry about have options. Like, what if Cyborg beats DeRandamy? Then she can maybe go in that direction. It'd be a way bigger fight, or visit 135 where she was once a champ. It's not like Valentina dominated her. I mean, it was a pretty close fight. There's avenues for her there too.
Yeah, I think it just matters, like, what motivates a person. Holly Holm is different than a lot of fighters, so her motivation might lie in the fact that, like, that's all she can think about is that fight with Jermaine, and maybe until she gets that chance again. a lot of times when people lose a close fight, that's all they want is that rematch. It's kind of rare for them not to want that. So I think that's probably kind of what's going through her mind right now. She's done so much in the sport. I feel like this is like her own personal mission. It might not be like what she thinks she needs to get back on the winning streak or whatever. I think it might just be like that's all she can think about, and that's like what she has to do for herself right now.
I think that's what we forget sometimes is what's going on in their head for them, and they don't look at it necessarily the way we do.
Right, and for her, it might not matter if Jermaine fights Cyborg and Cyborg wins or Cyborg loses or she goes back to 135. That might be one of those fights that just doesn't sit right with her, and Holly is really secure in who she is, so I think if she's making that decision, she has a reason within herself for it.
Who takes losses harder, women or men? Because you've got them soon as they're walking through. They're still perspiring, whereas we get them 24, 48 hours later.
I don't think I can categorize it based on gender. I just think it's on an individual basis. There are some guys who lose and immediately come right back to me, do an interview before they even shower, talk about what they did wrong. And there are some people who lock themselves in their locker room and won't even go to a post-fight press conference. It's, I just think it's within the individual, and sometimes you're surprised by who will come out. Like, for instance, when Eddie Alvarez lost to Conor McGregor, I think the last thing a lot of people thought he was going to do was immediately go do interviews, right? This is the biggest fight card in UFC history. It was very heated between he and Conor. He did not perform. And so you kind of think like the guy, okay, his whole family was backstage. You think he's just going to go in the locker room and kind of have a moment to himself and with his family. No, he came right out and was very candid, very forthcoming with his answers. Same with Dominic Cruz when he lost to Cody Garbrandt. Dominic immediately came back and had something to say. And then there's people you really wish would talk, only to give themselves a platform and to give their fans kind of not an explanation, but just to hear something and know that they're okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they don't come out, that's what's more disappointing. It's not for me. Listen, I will never tell somebody how they should feel after they win or lose. But sometimes you just wish that they could speak so that it almost makes them look better, and it almost is like a form of relief for them, and it gives their fans something to cling on to, like, oh my God, when Conor lost, he took that loss and he spoke to everybody and explained it and said, hey, you win and you lose. You have to lose with humility as well. And I think he gained a lot of fans off of that. Sometimes I wish there were moments where people would do that more often.
Who has impressed you in a post-fight interview where they lost and you almost felt for them, where you felt emotion like, oh my God, as crushed as they are, I'm crushed for them?
I feel that way for everybody who loses. I'm in a position where I speak to these athletes multiple times every single fight week. After fights, I'm the first person they come to after they go to the doctors in the medical room. I'm the person that the wives stand with and that the kids are looking for their parents, or where's mom, where's dad, and they're asking me because they know that I know. So for me, it's heart-wrenching no matter who wins or loses. We were just saying, like, some of these matchups are hard for me because I'm like, I love them both so much. And you learn their backstories, and everybody in the sport has a story, and they're all such good people. So for me, anytime somebody speaks, if you notice, and they do a post-fight interview if they lost, the camera's on them, right? The camera's on their face. A lot of times they'll start crying, so I do my best to try and comfort them. I'll grab their elbow and let them know, hey, I'm here, it's okay. Take a breath, we're going to get through this. But anytime someone has the courage to speak, their dreams were just crushed. It doesn't matter if it was a 5-round decision, if it was a 2-second knockout. Their dreams were crushed. Their sacrifices did not pay off. And that's something on a human level that you just feel emotional about, no matter what the outcome was, no matter who the person is. You just feel heartbroken for them. And so for me, that's the toughest part of my job, is to interview the losers. The toughest part, but it's also almost the most rewarding in the fact that they have the opportunity to say something even though they feel like no one wants to hear from them because they lost.
Has anyone brought you to that type of emotion where
almost
tears?
Everybody.
Oh,
almost
really?
Everybody.
Wow. So you have to take a step back before the next one and get the makeup girl back?
Yeah, right? No, almost every single time I have to interview a loser, I have to contain my emotions. I can specifically remember Holly Holm in Chicago when she lost to Valentina. I felt like I had to kind of hold it in there. You know, it's difficult, and I think I understand it a little bit more than maybe somebody who's not as closely intertwined with the sport as I am, because I know what that's like, and it sucks, you know. So, and I know that they think their life is over, and that they're never gonna rebound from it. So, for me, that's really difficult. The only one in recent memory that didn't feel that way was actually Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Yeah, when she lost at 205, because she was so positive after that performance, and she kind of, I think she proved something to herself in there, that she was a little bit happier, not happy to have a loss, but you know, she was in a more positive mindset than a lot of other people. But no, that's the most challenging by far for me, for sure.
All right, Ghost says we have an international call, so we'll do a quick one here, and then we'll go to break. Dustin Poirier is ready to go as well. Ben from New Zealand. What's up, Ben?
Oh,
how you been?
New Zealand.
I've been good as gold. Actually, I've been on an emotional roller coaster, Gigi, because I think Hunto is fighting way too soon after he got knocked out. That's only just over 3 months. He's my boy. I'm South Auckland, born and bred, just like Hunto. I've trained at Oliver MMA, so I've got big connections to him. I don't want to see him fight yet. But on the other hand, on the plus side, it's an aces lineup, man. We've got Dan Kelly versus Brunson, Hunter versus Derek Lewis. I mean, as much as it's going to hurt my heart, it's still going to be a great fight. I'm sure people are still going to love whatever happens. But then on the downside again, that's right when I've got exams. The same reason I can't come to the Junkie gathering, right smack bang in the middle of my exams. So what I need, that's 2 minuses and a plus. What I need is another plus. What I need is for Megan to say that her and Joe B are going to be down here together, and they're going to get to experience a bit of this beautiful country, just quietly the greatest country on the planet.
Yeah.
So I need to know that Megan and Joe B are going to be down here and they're going to get to have some of that goodness.
We will. We were just talking about it last night, that how many days extra should we try and stay, and where should we go in New Zealand? So we will be there.
Well, what do you recommend, Ben? Like tourist spots or fishing? I don't know. I mean, what's popular down in New Zealand? Not fishing. Okay. A trip to the Antarctica. I think New Zealand's the point of the world where you have the easiest access to Antarctica. By the way, just a fun fact. But what would you recommend, Ben?
That's right. It's either New Zealand or you can go all the way down the bottom of Argentina, and that's very south. But I would say, because it's the winter, if it was summertime, I'd say head up north. It's beautiful. All the islands and the ocean and the beaches up north is magical. But because it'll be winter, I'd say, even though I'm a North Island boy, the South Island is where all the magic happens in the winter. So, I mean, if you guys are Lord of the Rings fans, obviously you have to go to Matamata and see Hobbiton. But apart from that, really the South Island is the place.
Yeah, I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so
neither have I.
Stay with the South Island.
I'm getting blood red mad over here.
I'm sorry.
I slept through it.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow. Oh, I'm so mad. Danny, you're mad too, right?
I am.
Okay.
All right, Ben. Anything else, my man?
No, that's it. I know you got to keep it short. I just want to say, have a good weekend.
Thanks.
You too.
Next time.
Thanks for calling
We'll
in.
see you down there.
Cheers, mate. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to UFC lightweight Dustin Poirier. We have Megan Olivi, UFC host and reporter in-house, and the host of the Action Junkies podcast, along with Jake Ellenberger. It's John Orlando. We'll be right back.
No. Ah, you're funny. Nice song. Whatever.
Do what they say. Your life will be a lot
She doesn't
better.
even know this
Here
song.
are Gorgeous and Goes.
It's my dad.
Yeah. Bringing us
Tony
back.
Orlando.
Bringing us back is John Orlando's dad,
Sorry.
Tony Orlando.
Sorry, no disrespect.
You shouldn't know. No.
My parents love your dad.
They can't. You brought them.
No, I brought.
Oh, you brought your uncle.
Uncle, yeah.
Your uncle.
Yeah.
You know he's back next week.
Your dad?
Bring the parents.
Okay.
Can you?
Yeah.
He's
Well, my
at
mom's a
Southpoint
little
next week.
sick, but just having a problem with her knee. But perhaps we can work something out. So he's at South Point next week.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
This is different from the Christmas show, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We're gonna talk to Dustin Poirier, UFC lightweight. He's fighting on the Dallas card. UFC 211 tickets go on sale today. You want some blood and spit and sweat on you? You really want that to feel it? What it's like? It's $400 to sit cage side. I'm telling you, that's a great deal. I know I keep emphasizing it, but it really is for such a stacked card too. Your headliner that night is Stipe Miocic defending against Junior Dos Santos. Yair Rodriguez also fights against Frankie Edgar. And how about the fact that we left out the ladies? Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Jessica Andrade. That's going to be a quality strawweight encounter there. Now, filling in the card, of course, is Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez. Dustin Poirier joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Dustin? How you doing?
What's happening, fellas?
Not much, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. We also have Megan Olivi here with us, and we have John Orlando here with us, comedian. So thanks for joining us here on a Friday. What a stacked card, huh? I'm sure the juices are already flowing when you start hearing about the talent on that card, and, of course, your matchup versus Eddie Alvarez.
For sure, man. I mean, the card's crazy, bro. It's going to be exciting. And I think tickets went on sale yesterday or today, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a sellout, man.
Yeah, Wednesday was I think it goes Fight Club newsletter, and today's the general public. I wouldn't be shocked if this thing sells out really soon. For one, Dallas has been a good market. Two, tickets are affordable, and the card is insane.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it's just stacked, man.
You get the call, and they tell you it's Eddie Alvarez. What goes through your mind immediately?
Here we go. Right back where I belong in the top of the division. But, it's kind of crazy how this fight came along. I was originally planning on fighting in July or so. I wanted to take some time and just get better. But they came with this fight, and that's the only way I would have came back sooner is a fight like this. And I'm excited, man. A win over Eddie Alvarez puts me right there, a fight or so away from the title.
Yeah, and I think the name Chiesa got thrown around. I saw you guys kind of bickering a little bit on social media. Was it Alvarez all the way, or did you get any other fights offered to you? Like, did you? Because you're a veteran, you put in some time. Sometimes they give you guys the option to choose who you want.
Yeah, I never really got the option. We kind of talked about some names with me and my management. I never really got to sit down with Sean Shelby or anybody and go over a list of guys. But I was asking for Chiesa before Eddie's name came up. And he was, I don't want to talk about the guy too much or say what went on with him and his management and my management and all that stuff, but they were kind of dancing around the fight. And he was trying to, I guess, get the biggest fights he could. But, you guys like that, you play this, young guys in the sport, you play the game too much like that and you get passed over. And he could have had a fight, but now he doesn't. So, and I'm fighting Eddie. So that's how stuff works out sometimes.
Dustin Poirier, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes. What do you have for Dustin?
Dustin, a fight like this is music to the fans' ears. Is it going to be difficult to stick to a strategy when you have a guy like Eddie and yourself? You both like to come forward. It just feels like the type of fight where you tap the judge on the shoulder and tell him to go get a hot dog because he won't be necessary.
Right, yeah. Yeah, man, this is going to be for sure this is going to be a barn burner. And I know we're both going to show up that night and deliver. It's an exciting fight for me, man, because Eddie's a guy. When I was a young amateur fighter, I was watching Eddie fight, on HDNet, fight and dream, and going to battle back then. So he's a guy I've always been watching and, looked up to when I was younger. And now I get to fight him. It's incredible. I think our styles match up well, and I'm just excited to prove that I'm one of the best guys in the world.
I got to interject for a second, Goes. This is what I like about Dustin is, okay, we've interviewed a lot of fighters over these past 10 years, and sometimes they hear the same song and dance. We're going to come forward. It's going to be a barn burner, this, that, whatever. And there are times where I sit here and go, your last one wasn't a barn burner, or maybe your last two were, but then two before that weren't. Dustin's never had a shitty fight. they've all been barn burners.
Yeah.
So as he's selling it, folks, anybody that is contemplating wanting to go to the show, go for just Dustin Poirier, and the fact that you get 2 title fights is going to be gravy. But just the Poirier-Alvarez fight is going to be money because Poirier will not let a fight suck. I just got to tell you that. I don't know how you can take that as a compliment or pat on the back, but I really have to tell you that, man. Your fights are always some of my favorites.
Yeah, I can promise you this and promise all the fans this, that I'm going to bust my ass, not cut any corners, push myself to the limit every day, and show up the best I can show up, and I'm going to leave it all out there. You know what I mean? That I can promise you that.
Sorry, Ghost.
And to be clear, that's just a thought that goes through your head. You don't actually tell the fighter that's wrong. Your last 2
No.
fights. That's why the door is open.
I always say that was a rough outing or something.
Dustin, I know, is it difficult to forecast the future? Because I know you have to be focused on the guy in front of you, but a win here would be 6 out of the last 7. Where do you think that would put you in the title picture?
That would put me at, 6-1 in the lightweight division with a win over the former champ. And it's not like I'm a guy who just stumbled into the top 10. I've been in the top 10 in 2 weight classes. This doesn't happen by accident. I've been close to the top. I've been in title eliminator fights before at featherweight with the Korean Zombie. I'm not a new guy. I'm not a new guy to the block. I've been around a long time, and I've been putting in work. And I believe a win over the former champ. I mean, this guy's last fight, he wore the belt walking into the cage. You know what I mean? This guy was just a champion. If I go out there and put a stamp on Eddie Alvarez, I believe I'm a fight away from that belt.
We also have the UFC's Megan Olivi here co-hosting with us as well. She's got a question or two. Go ahead, Megan. What do you have for Dustin Poirier?
Hey, Dustin. How are you?
Doing.
Good. So, last fight that you had, the last image I had of you, you were actually headed to the hospital. You had what a brawl with Jim Miller in there.
The shin, right?
Yeah, you had a smile on your face, but we were really worried about you and what you might have done to your leg. What was that healing process like for you? Because you were far from home. You still had to take a plane ride, back to Florida, and I think people were worried that there might have been some serious damage to your leg.
The first couple of days after the fight and that night was really painful. But just like anything, time heals. Time heals everything. And the blood started draining out of my shin, and my leg got better, and I'm fine now. Nothing was broken. But when I went to the hospital that night, they thought it might be something called compartmental syndrome or something, where the swelling gets too much for the compartment it's in, and it could start hurting nerves and killing muscle and stuff like that. So they were thinking about cutting my leg open to let some of the pressure out and stuff like that. The worry was just that night. We found out nothing was broken, of course, and, went to another doctor back here in Florida when I got home a week later, got it checked out again, and everything's, right on track. I mean, it feels like my life goes back to normal, so I'm back training 100%.
Good, and I know that you are such a proud dad. What was like the first few things that you did with your daughter when you got back home, and how is that really changing your motivation when you step into the octagon? Is, before you are going in there, and obviously you love your wife and you love yourself and you work so hard for things, but having a daughter now, does that kind of impact you even more in what you're working for?
Yeah, it's fighting is a selfish sport. I've always been fighting for myself, but now I feel like I'm fighting for her future as well. I want her to go to college. I want to put money away. I want her to have a structured life, and part of that is me being able to be there every day for her, physically and mentally too. So I'm trying my best to not take damage every day in practice and not take damage when I go out there and fight. Of course, I'm still going to put it all on the line and fight as hard as I can and try to win by any means. But that being said, I'm trying to be more of a defensive fighter and just be smarter,
Our other co-host today is comedian John Orlando. He's got a question for you. Go ahead, John. What do you have for Dustin Poirier?
Hey, Dustin. I'm a big fan, man. Earlier in this broadcast, you mentioned that the last time Eddie walked into that cage, he was holding the belt. And I was wondering if you feel like that puts added pressure on him as he comes now to fight you, and is there a way you can use that pressure to your advantage, or does it make it harder for you because now his back's up against the wall?
That's up to the individual. I really believe he's going to be the hungriest he's ever been because he wants to get back to the mountaintop where he just was, or he might not have the same motivation as he had on his climb to that belt. It's all an individual. I don't know Eddie's mental and what's going through his head. but I can tell you 100% I know this. I know that this is the biggest fight of my life, and Eddie probably thinking it's not the biggest fight of his life. You know what I mean? This is the most important fight that I've ever been in, and I know that.
That's a very interesting take. I wondered that as well, John. He obviously can't answer for Eddie, but I guess just to pile on what John was saying, do you read your opponents, or do you wonder, do you have an idea? I guess, you've come off a loss before as well, that, you maybe have those same types of feelings where if someone's ever going to say, hey, when'd you lose a little bit of confidence, it's usually coming off a loss. So, maybe you can speak on that as far as you or your teammates, how that feeling is and what kind of pressure that is.
So it turns some guys into animals who are going to win by any means, and it turns other guys into timid fighters who are going to doubt their abilities.
Right.
It's all up to the guy. For me, it's always been I got to come back. I got to prove to myself, and then everybody else will see. It's always been me proving it to myself that I'm better than that last fight, that I'm better than that loss, and I have more to offer. And if I prove it to myself, then everybody else will see it. I don't know what's going on with Eddie, but I sure hope that he's busting his ass, and because I'm coming out there to take him out, man. I'm on a mission, and I'm destined for greatness, and I'm just going to show it. It's going to happen. So he better be working.
I'm filling out my fantasy fighting dance card, so you're going to win. And then what round is it in, by the way? And submission or TKO? I got to fill this out.
Well, man, let's go round 2.
Round 2, all right. KO, right?
Round 2, stoppage. Yeah.
Stoppage. All right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll leave it at stoppage because it could be a sub, it could be a TKO. It's open-ended. I like it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He can get it either way.
Thanks for your time as always, man. It's really fun to follow your career, to cover you, and you always bring it. You always give a great interview as well. Your fights are spectacular. So good job, Dustin. Great job as always, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your weekend.
I appreciate it, brother. You too.
All right. Take care. That's UFC lightweight Dustin Poirier. Am I right? His fights never suck.
Never.
Win or lose, the guy pours his heart out. And that's another thing, too, that I appreciate from fighters is you can just tell when they give you an honest camp. This guy does not cut corners. He goes out there, prepares himself the best, and if somebody gets him, he'll shake the hand, tip the hat, and then he'll dust himself off, and come back. And if he wins, he's pretty classy. And all this from a guy who used to be a G. We talked about our G moments back in the day. Dustin, he shared some stuff, right?
Yeah, the snakes.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff he used to do, and now he's doing something positive with his life. And he's got a new baby girl, married with one of the great teams out there in American Top Team. So great job. All right, so we'll be right back after this break. We got about 10 minutes left, 5 minutes, and we'll be closing up shop soon. Last chance to get in at 866-522-2846.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Just too.
That's creepy,
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Yikes.
The music makes it so much creepier now.
That's good.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch of another fine edition of MMA Junkie Radio. And if you're watching the video on Facebook or YouTube, these are stills from some cameraman. Maybe you guys can fill in the blanks that
It's
broke into Neverland.
Yeah,
Michael Jackson's old estate.
photographers, they would break into Neverland and they would actually go in the house. They figured out like when the security would be in certain areas.
I feel
and how
like
to
they
do
said
it.
it was really easy or something.
Yeah.
Like they made it seem like there was very little security for
And
Neverland.
the compound is so big, you know, so they took pictures over I think like 3 or 4 days, and this is what they found. And we were just talking about.
And they
how
actively have security still? They just worked around that?
Yeah, there's still security there.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah,
and this is
caution,
north
all right.
of Santa Barbara. I think this is Santa Barbara or something like that, right?
Somewhere around there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian had her birthday party there once.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Is that where you got the idea, or when did you
No.
come up with the idea that you wanted to have a birthday
When
party
I found
there?
out Michael Jackson and I had the same birthday.
Oh,
It was
okay.
immediate. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Huh. Well, I mean, good for them. I don't know what they got to do there. If that's, never seen things, I don't know. Regardless, one last thing here. Be remiss to not touch on this. So Connor got his sentence and fine reduced by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and they had to pick up the phone and call Nate Diaz and go, we have to send you a check, because appropriately they're going to go down from there. Knowing the Diaz brothers, they probably send them the voicemail. Those guys are so hard to get a hold of. But kind of good to see the Nevada State Athletic Commission realizing that that's a little egregious. $150,000 for tossing a water bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was too much.
And it's good they made it right for both of them.
Mm-hmm. Who do you want to see Connor fight next, John?
Come on. Floyd.
You really want to see it?
Yeah. Don't you?
No.
Why?
I want to see fight Ferguson or someone in MMA. I think the other one's just, it's going to make them a lot of money. It's not going to put a lot of money in my pocket. It does bring eyeballs to my sport. I'm happy about that. But I don't know. I want to see him fight Ferguson and all the other 55ers. It's a favorite division of mine, so I hate to see it just sit there.
I definitely want to see him fight Ferguson, for sure.
How about you, Megan? What would you prefer?
Oh, man. I don't think I can prefer one of them because, like you just said, I think first of all, if he fights Floyd, everyone's going to watch it. I do want to see that, but I would like to see him then come back to the sport of MMA. Like you said, it's hard to see a division not have an super active champion right now, but that could easily change.
Is there a particular fight you're looking forward to, John?
I want to see GSP Bisping.
Okay. Probably, I'm hearing summer of 2017, so July sounds about right. How about you, Megan? Any particular fight?
A fight that I'm looking forward to in the immediate future is actually between Rose and Michelle.
That should be a good one.
Yeah, I, again, hate that because I love both of them so much, and I think they're both so incredibly talented. They're great women as individuals and personally, but they're such talented fighters.
Yeah.
I think that one is going to be awesome.
Here's a fight that just got signed. Yancy Medeiros versus Eric Silva. UFC 212 in Rio de Janeiro. You going to Rio?
I am not.
No Rio? Okay.
No, I'll be going to Sweden instead.
What are some of your favorite spots that you've gone to, regardless of the fight card or anything? Just
I'm so fortunate, man. Singapore, Tokyo is probably my favorite city in the world. I love Mexico City, love Vancouver, but Singapore was an amazing experience. Sydney was awesome. I mean, I've been to quite a few places. I love London. Dublin was insane because we were there with Connor on the world tour, so that was just insanity. Man, I try to find a positive every single place we go. So, like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we went there. Great coffee spots there. I just enjoy it. I try to enjoy every single place we go because it might be the only time I get there.
If I paid you $100,000 the next time you go to Singapore, would you go to their downtown and go like this? And then blow a bubble gum? No? You know the rules on bubble gum?
Yeah, well, they don't sell it, but they don't.
Well, let's just say we snuck it in.
Yeah, like I had it in my backpack when I went to Singapore.
You did? I thought you get caned if you.
No, they just don't sell it. Yeah, and I loved Singapore because we actually got there in the morning of New Year's Eve, and we rode the subway at 1 o'clock in the morning. We had no idea how to do it. Everybody was so cool and so nice. Felt super safe. They all dress really cool, but nobody's like out of line with their clothing.
I did not know
It was
that.
awesome. Some of the best food in the entire world. Singapore is amazing.
Our guests this week, Lorenz Larkin, Muhammad Lawal, Hakeem Dawadu, Eric Del Fiero, Boss Rudin, Sergey Karatana, John Gunderson, John Wood, Valentina Shevchenko, Megan Olivi, John Orlando, Dustin Poirier. Thank you both for stopping by.
Hey, thank
you. For co-hosting the whole show. Yeah. We'll be back on Monday. We'll have Quentin Jackson. Tuesday we'll have LeVar Ball. Is that going to come through?
Jake Ellenberger.
Yeah. Jake Ellenberger, Gegard Mousasi. Should be a fun week. Enjoy your weekend. Keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend as we continue to cover your favorite sport of mixed martial arts. For Danny and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Be champions.